Hi there, and welcome back to another special episode of True Crime This Week with me, James Renner. Hey, I knew Maura Murray's case was popular, but I did not expect the episode to blow up the way that it did. And I wanted to hop on here real fast and provide some updates because information has been coming in like lightning speed in the last 24 hours. If you're just catching up, I revealed on the podcast yesterday that New Hampshire State Police found a fingerprint in Maura Murray's car that linked to a man named Steffen Baldwin. According to Steffen, the fingerprint that was found on a CD or CD case. It's unclear which exactly it was, that he had exchanged with Maura when they were dating at West Point. Now keep in mind, this is simply Steffen's explanation for where that fingerprint was found, and he explained that when he spoke to the FBI less than a year ago, when they questioned him about this, that's what he was told. All I know, all that I was told prior to talking to Steffen was that a fingerprint was found in their car. He says it was a CD or CD case. Maura Murray, as you know, is a young woman who went missing in the White Mountains of New Hampshire after crashing her car into a snowbank there in February of 2004. She was the subject of my book, True Crime Addict, and if you'd like to know more about the particulars of her case, please check out the episode that came out yesterday. Back to Steffen. According to the source close to the investigation into Maura Murray's disappearance, the lead detective in Maura Murray's case told others that Steffen was his number one suspect. Now, this was said after Steffen's arrest on unrelated charges here in Ohio as far back as 2020. But Steffen still remains interesting enough to law enforcement that he was questioned by the FBI just last year. Authorities in Ohio refer to Steffen as a serial killer of dogs. He was sentenced Thursday to 15 and a half years in prison for needlessly killing 18 dogs in Ohio, dogs that he was supposed to be training so that they were less aggressive, and he would tell the owners, oh, they're doing fine, they're doing great, but he would be killing the dogs in order to open up more space. He also killed another 18 dogs that we know of in California while he was awaiting trial. There's a rumor going around that the private investigators working with the Murray family vetted this guy and found nothing. However, I suspect the person they're talking about is a man named Steffen, spelled Stefan, who knew Maura at UMass, and not this Steffen Baldwin, which is spelled Steffen. Regardless, I've now spoken to Steffen's former partners and family members, and nobody has heard from these private investigators. Is this the key to the case? I don't know. But finding Steffen's fingerprints in the car of a missing woman is certainly newsworthy, given his violent history. Now let's talk about that and some of the other details I've learned about Steffen in the last 24 hours. Yesterday I spoke to Megan, who dated Steffen a few years back. Steffen was abusive, she says, and living with him was traumatic and led to a diagnosis of PTSD. When Megan met Steffen, she was getting started in the animal rescue community, where Steffen was a bit of a celebrity. Soon he had put her in charge of his dogs, but he never paid her. She says, quote, Steffen is very secretive about his life, and he looks for those who have been previously abused. That goes for dogs and women. He would flip out very easily and start yelling for no reason. Once we were in the car and I was driving, Steffen was yelling again. He said he wanted me to open the door so he could push me into traffic. He often threatened me with violence. Another time he pushed me up against the fence, and I had to tase him to let me go. Megan says, and that's end quote there, Megan says that twice Steffen took sudden road trips and left her alone with the dogs, and he'd get angry if she called him while he was away. When she was with Steffen, he was not into hard drugs, but would smoke pot, as far as she knew, not into hard drugs, but he would smoke pot all day, every day. He talked a lot about his abusive childhood and how it affected him. Megan also believes that Steffen's abusive behavior contributed to the deaths of two of his ex-girlfriends. One woman, Amanda Walton, was clean and sober when she met Steffen, but died of an overdose after being in a relationship with him. Before she died, Amanda reached out to Megan, and she shared those texts with me. Amanda reached out in May 2017, quote, "Hey there, I know this is a little strange, but my curiosity has gotten the best of me. I dated Steffen before you did, and I honestly was just wondering if he turned into a total fucking psycho on you too, or what. The man is batshit crazy, and I hope he didn't fuck you over as bad as he did me." End quote. Steffen's other girlfriend, Shelby Graber, died in an accident on Highway 270 in Ohio after driving the wrong way. At the time of that accident, she was over the legal limit for alcohol and also high. Another rumor that popped up yesterday was that Steffen's mother is missing, and I can confirm that that is true as far as we know after speaking with his father, Howard, who provided more information about Steffen's childhood. Howard was married to Steffen's mother, Barbara Baldwin, but divorced when he and his brother were very young. At the time, he had serious concerns about her mental stability. A judge granted Barbara custody, but also named Steffen and his brother wards of the state. Barbara then disappeared with both boys, and he didn't see them for several years. Turns out Barbara had taken them to California, where they lived in a ghetto near LA for a time. About 5 years later, Barbara contacted Howard and said the boys needed him. Howard was living in New York, but immediately moved to California to be near them. Eventually, Steffen's brother moved in with his father, but Steffen stayed with his mother. Barbara became a born-again evangelical Christian out there, and Steffen became part of that church too. At a custody hearing when Steffen was about 10 years old, a judge asked who he'd like to live with, and he said his mother, because his father would not let Jesus into his heart. I should note that Howard is Jewish. Howard didn't see Steffen again until after he had left West Point as a young man. He does not know why Steffen left West Point within a week of Maura Murray leaving the school. Steffen spoke on social media about his mother disappearing several years ago. Howard confirms that nobody knows where she is and nobody has spoken to her in many years, saying, quote, "I don't know if she's alive or dead, or has been killed and buried in the desert," end quote. Steffen claims he has never been to New Hampshire or UMass in his life. When I spoke to his ex-wife Haley today, she said, quote, "He was living with me in California in 2004, end quote. Those are the updates. If you know Steffen and have any information that does in fact place him in New Hampshire or around UMass, I'd be very interested in hearing about it. You can contact me directly at jameswrenner@gmail.com. If you have any information related to Maura Murray's disappearance, please contact the New Hampshire State Police Cold Case Unit. I'll update if there's anything major that comes in the next few days, but I expect that's the most of it. So thanks for your attention, and we'll talk soon. True Crime This Week is a Fearful Symmetry production. Photo and artwork are licensed through Shutterstock. If you like the cut of my jib, I have another podcast you might enjoy called The Philosophy of Crime, in which I attempt to solve the big questions behind our true crime obsession by looking to philosophy for answers. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week. Sit, Brownie, sit. Good dog.